I'm a history teacher at Hardin Northern, and one thing that I've always believed in is trying to create experiences for my students. So not just what we do in a classroom, but even if it's in the classroom, having them act things out, doing simulations. But part of our program takes us outside of the classroom for living history, and we really focus for this project. We're focusing on two parts. One was we bring in veterans to interview. Students interview them. We film these and we edit it and kind of turn into a kind of a living memory video for the veterans and for the community. And the other project is what we call Living History Day, where it's kind of like a historical reenactment, like a Civil War reenactment, but most students can't really go to one of those. So we try to bring it here to campus, and we have a variety of living historians from basically Viking age to colonial to World War II present and do demonstrations for the elementary students. My high school students present also. They research characters and time periods. But our project was to take these things that we're already doing. So we didn't start something new, but it was to take something we're already doing and ask my high school students, how does this benefit you? What do you get out of it? And there were some responses we got. One of the most overwhelming responses was the kind of freedom and responsibility that they were in charge of their own project, to plan, to research, and that it was really that critical thinking piece. Not so much the history, although it did help with their learning history, but it was those higher level thinking skills, the critical learning, the ability to plan, to plan for when things go wrong and to adapt on the fly when you're making a presentation that students really found the most beneficial. That and being able to work with other generations, which they found, they're working from 90-year-old Korean veteran and trying to relate that perhaps to like a 5-year-old kindergartner. So they get a wide variety of interpersonal connections there. So those were some of the results that we got from it that I really didn't plan. It was never purposeful in my planning. It just kind of occurred. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to dig deeper into the practices that are already used. I don't know that it's changed actual practices much, but it's made me more aware in my planning, a little bit more purposeful. Some things that probably just happened because they were common sense or accident, or it seemed like just the easy way out. Now I kind of plan for some of those because I was able to see how it impacted students, what things they valued that I just kind of assumed. So it's made me a lot more, I think, purposeful in my planning, that it's not just trying to do maybe what's the easiest, but I can actually see the value in it, and I've got better targets now, I think, when I'm doing my planning. I think the most enjoyable thing was the opportunity to dive deeper into what it is you teach. A lot of times as public educators, we don't really have a chance to do that. We're rushing from one standard to the next or one test to the next. So it's nice to be able to look into how what we're teaching and what we're doing is actually impacting students and get some feedback. I think there's probably a couple challenges. One, I wasn't really familiar with action research, but that was nice that we were paired with the college faculty who are familiar with that. So I was able to lean on them quite a bit for that. And they provided a lot of information and good advice and really kind of directed whenever I had questions. That was probably the hardest thing for me. We were the first year or it was the first year that I'd ever done this, and for the Teacher of the Year program, and we were kind of under a rushed calendar, which I don't think most years have. So that was a little bit of a pressure there too, because we had just a couple months turnaround, but in most years you don't have that. You've got much more time. Well, I think definitely leaning on them for their knowledge of what research has already been done, so you're not just reinventing the wheel, or you're investigating, researching something that's already been researched a lot. They can also, Dr. Brodt, who I worked with from Ashland University, brought in just a wealth of material from outside from previous studies, so we could kind of tailor our project to kind of fill in the cracks, that where information and research was missing. So really just a lot of guidance as far as that. Also, is very helpful to guide through all the kind of legal requirements, for getting permission and how that research is done and all the ethical parameters and so forth, which was really not something that I even thought about prior to that. Mm-hmm. Well, I think one, in planning for future events, trying to incorporate things like that to simulate those critical thinking skills to that it's not just, usually when you think critical thinking, it's creating essays, a problem, debate in class. But in this way, it was okay, here's a project we're going to do. Let's adapt it for our community. Let's try, how can we tweak other projects to give students kind of that free rein where they can be kind of their own guide, their own mentor. Most definitely. I think it was very beneficial. It's a way for, you can really go two different ways. It's a way for teachers to dig deeper like I did into something that I already do, some things that I was always curious about. How do students really react, or what do students really get out of what I do in a classroom? It's nice bringing in outside faculty to sit down with students, and I just left the room and let them talk. Then you get a lot more honest appraisal, which can be a little bit frightening too, but it was very worthwhile. So I encourage, if you can do something that you've already done, research it. What's the evidence behind it? What are the characteristics that you should be targeting? That was very valuable. I think it would also be very valuable if there's something out there, an idea out there, or a strategy out there that you've always wanted to do, but you just don't have time or just don't have the resources. This is the opportunity to leap right in and have a university faculty providing you with the evidence, the data you need to justify it, and research it and see, hey, just how does it work? I would say lean on the faculty that are there, the people at Cleveland State who can talk to you and give you so many examples. Here's what has been done in the past. Take a look through these and see if any of these could be useful for you. And even if you start the project, you get paired with a university faculty, there's no obligation to finish that. And I'm not encouraging to drop out, but talk with your faculty person. For me, that alleviated a lot of nerves that I had, a lot of questions, especially not being that familiar with the process, and just made me a lot more comfortable. At least go far enough to have those conversations and then try to make a decision if this will be good for you. I would also encourage you to reach out to your school, your administration. I think you'll find that most superintendents and probably most principals, this academic research, action research, it's kind of right up their alley of, they love having that type of research and that type of data to use to support the programs that they're doing. I had a great time doing it. It was a great experience. I'm glad that I did. It was something I literally debated on for a while, whether or not I wanted to do it, but I honestly don't have any regrets, and I think it's very worthwhile and has helped me become a better teacher. And I think that's the kind of the bottom line.